In reference to last month's meeting notes, does anyone have any questions or concerns? If not, I entertain a motion to approve last month's meeting notes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays? Motion carries. I'm about to gavel. All right, we have no old news, new news. Ms. Elements, all yours.
Okay, our first thing on the agenda is financial services. Ms. Teresa Wade Chase will present 2 items.
Good afternoon. My first item is presentation of cumulative low-income housing finance report for the period ending March 31st, 2018. I would like to say that this financial, after our audit is completed, the auditor will be here to present his audit to you concerning March 31st, 2018. I would like to begin your package that starts on page 7, beginning with page 7. Total revenue, we were at 105.41%. This is basically explained by the following items. Other tenant charges, the increase is due to the amount charged for late fees. Interest income, we also had an increase in our rate for Service First from 0.60 to 1.5. Wells Fargo also increased our earning rate from 0.22 to 0.35. Moving down the page to other income, HHA received a refund of the Balch pre-development expenses. Moving to number 5, inter-amp transfer in. This is transfer in and transfer out between the sites to bring them to the expendable months fund balance of 4 months per site. Moving further down to total administration, we finished the year at 99.05, and we had savings in advertising and marketing. Our expenses were lower than budget. Also with office expense and also training and travel. We made a concerted effort to come under our budgeted line item for these expenses. Moving to page 2 of the financials. For total maintenance, labor, and employee benefits, we also saw savings there, and that was due to open positions in the maintenance area due to retirement and turnover in personnel, resulted in a decrease for these line items. Moving further down to page 11, number 11, payment in lieu of taxes. This line item was flatlined in fiscal year 2018. In the budget revision, the increase in pilot is due to an increase in dwelling rent. If you will move forward to page 3 of the financials, collection loss, the approved year-to-date budget charge-off is $178,437. Collections were more than anticipated, which offset this expense. Overall, our actual year-to-date income was $1,030,726 in comparison to net income of $287,109. The net income is due to the development fees we received for 360 properties, and those funds, that's when we have basically our net income. Also included is your recap by site of how the sites completed their year in comparison to the budget. Okay? Does anyone have any questions for me about these financials? No? The next set of financials being presented are Housing Choice Voucher year-end finance report for the period ended March 31st, 2018. The first one is admin interest. We reclassed half interest, and the first 500 can be admin interest. Number 2 is the maintenance, materials, and gasoline. Contracting with Ozark for inspections has reduced the use of in-house vehicles. And the third item is compensated absence. We do not budget for this line item, but we complete this entry at the end of the year. Our total income loss for Section 8 is $42,445 in comparison to a budgeted loss of $61,695. Does anyone have any questions for me about those financials? Okay. Well, thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Teresa. Next on the agenda is real estate development, and we have Ms. Keisha Rich, who has 3 items.
Good afternoon. My first item is requesting the board to act on a resolution authorizing the executive director to enter into a contract for repairs to a casualty unit located at 1005 East Webster Avenue. This unit was damaged by fire. We issued a request for bids, and we received 2 from Presto and Joe Fleming. The lowest bid came in from Presto at $41,898. HHA will be responsible for paying our deductible, which is $10,000. Does anybody have any questions about this first item?
We have worked with Presto many times in the
Oh,
past.
yes.
right?
I also want to state before the public is that we actually we hold a committee meeting week prior to each board meeting. So everything that we'll actually see today has been spoken or addressed in depth. So I don't want you to feel as though we're speeding through the process, overlooking some things. So the board has taken some time to look at all the items listed. At this time, we have resolution 218-11 for us. Are there any questions? If not, I entertain a motion to approve.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All any nays? Motion carries.
Okay, my second item is requesting the board action for a resolution authorizing annulment, cancellation, and termination of use and development restrictions for urban renewal plan, Parkview Urban Renewal Area, project number Alabama R-59. The HHA and the city of Huntsville have approved certain urban renewal plans for areas of the city of Huntsville previously, and it contains certain conditions, restrictive covenants, and regulations. Over the years, we have received similar requests that these restrictive covenants be removed. This one is for an area that is located south of Clinton, west of Church Street, and east of the Clinton Street Post Office. From council, I was told that the particular building that they're concerned with is the TVA building, which is on the corner of the intersection of Clinton and Church. So they have requested our approval of the removal of these restrictive covenants. Any questions?
There are no questions. I entertain a motion to approve resolution 218-12.
Motion for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All any nays? Motion carries.
Okay, my final item is requesting the board to approve a resolution authorizing the executive director to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Huntsville Utilities for partnership and participation in the Uplift pilot program. We are seeking the board's approval to enter into an agreement with Huntsville Utilities to memorialize a partnership to participate in this program. The program is administered by the Tennessee Valley Authority, and it is a program that requires a matching requirement where they will replace the HVAC units in the Northwood site that we selected to participate in this program at. We think that we will be able to replace approximately 200 units at the site. And the financial commitment that HHA needed to make was for $889,200. It is matched by Huntsville Utilities and Tennessee Valley Authority as well. So they are equally matching our contribution, if not a little over the dollar for dollar. Are there any questions on this item?
I would just like to make a comment, Keisha. I just think we need to make the public aware that we're spending this money so that they will give us $1 million to do this.
Right, yeah, that's the matching component of it, so yes. they will be contributing $1 million, and we will be contributing $889,000.
Are there any questions? Concerns? Okay. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 218-13.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All there nays? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Keisha. The next item is from Assisted Housing, and we have Ms. Paula Bingham.
Good afternoon. I would like to ask the board to authorize the executive director to certify and submit the CMAP scores for fiscal year ending 3/31/18. CMAP is the Section 8 Management Assessment Program. It was designed by HUD to measure the performance of Housing Choice Voucher programs and assess the ability of housing authorities to administer the program. This report must be submitted annually within 60 days of year end. CMAP measures performance in 14 specific areas. While this is a self-audit completed by me and my staff, our finance staff does another complete audit of our audit to confirm the scores. After examining the information for all 14 indicators, including the required random file samples, it was determined that we will be high performer for another year, with a score of 140 out of a possible 145, which is 96.55%. With your approval, we would like to submit the CMAP scores.
Any questions, concerns? As I stated before, we've been through this, the fine tooth comb, I guess. And I want to commend you and your staff and the rest of the organization for another outstanding job. With that being said, I entertain a motion to approve resolution 218-14 at this time.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All there any nays? Motion carries.
Thank you very much, Paula, and we'll make sure we submit this today.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one more item on the agenda, and that's Human Resources. Ms. Carol Jones will present this item.
Good afternoon again, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My request today is to ask the board to act on resolution to amend Huntsville Housing Authority's Personnel Policy Manual, revising policy number E10, Conflict of Interest, Acceptance of Gifts. Huntsville Housing Authority's Personnel Policy Manual now states that every employee is prohibited from doing business for profit with HHA, and this includes participating as an owner in assisted housing programs of any kind. The HUD rule in the annual contributions contract states that when any employee of the housing authority who formulates policy or who influences decisions with respect to the project, or any member of the employee's existing immediate family or the employee's partner is involved, then a conflict of interest exists. Our purpose is to request the board's approval to amend the Personnel Policy Manual, revising policy number E10, Conflict of Interest, Acceptance of Gifts. And the justification for this is to be in compliance with the Department of Housing and Urban Development's rules and regulations regarding conflicts of interest. Are there any questions?
No questions? No concerns?
As long as we're in compliance, yep.
Okay. Does mean I can't go out and buy no stuff from anything? With that, I'll take a motion to approve resolution 218-15 at this time.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion And a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carol.
Gentlemen?
You gonna ask? Okay, it's my turn.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to thank the staff. I mean, Paula was very, very concerned this year about Section 8, whether we'd be high performer again, just because she had some new staff on board, and she was afraid that when she went through the files, she might find more errors, but she didn't, so this is wonderful. We're very, very happy with that. And I do want to bring up one other thing. It has been brought to my attention that some people think that we have a replacement reserve in public housing. Public housing does not have a replacement reserve. Now, if it's a mixed finance property like Gateway, I was just saying, it's been brought to my attention by some folks that we should have a replacement reserve to do things like replace your appliances, do exterior repairs. Public housing is not required to have a replacement reserve. In fact, no public housing books have a replacement reserve. The properties that are required are if it's multifamily. Like for us, that would be Gateway Place or 360 Properties. But we don't own those properties. They're owned by another entity, and that entity is required to have a replacement reserve on their books. Section 8, the landlords, some might have a replacement reserve and some might not, but it's not required of them either. So I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. In public housing, we have a capital fund, and that comes to us so that we can make the repairs that need to be made on public housing. And you know that HUD funding's been cut over the years. So we do what we can. And I know there are many needs at all of your properties that need to be done. And we're trying to prioritize them and get the things that need to be done the most done first. I'm sorry, but we're not taking questions, Mr. Eason.
Oh, just talking about the agenda I gave you, though, right? You're not taking questions?
Not from my comments.
Oh, wow. I was outside, y'all discussing.
Next your turn.
All right, I noticed we have two people who signed up to actually speak today, but in I guess regards and in fairness to the employees who usually I would refer any questions to, if they do not feel, I guess, comfortable with answering the questions or not equipped to do so, then what we'll do is get the information back to you at a later date. But I must read this before we do that. Requests to appear on the Board of Commissioners' agenda and subject matters to be discussed must be received by the CEO 10 days prior to regular monthly board meeting. Requests to make public comments must be made before the monthly meeting consistent with the business conducted at the meeting. Now I'm telling y'all, the reason I'm reading this is because I've agreed to allow these folks to speak today. So that's why I said in fairness to the employees, so you may be asked to address a question. Public comments at the monthly meeting must be limited to 3 minutes. Requests to make public comments at the monthly meeting must specify subject matter to be discussed, which in a nutshell means we should know what you actually coming to speak about, and hopefully it should be on the agenda.
And this form will be revised by next month to state that.
Chairman or a commissioner will refer items brought before the board to the CEO for resolutions if deemed appropriate. At this time, we have Ms. Dennis Eason. Mr. Eason, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening,
I'll
sir.
be brief and quick, I guess. Seems like to me that y'all said we can't discuss none to the resident and bring out concerns of y'all as commissioner and CEO about our problem, but who do we take our problems to then if it ain't on the agenda, and how do we get on the agenda? You know, to talk about our situation and our concerns, because we got a lot of concerns, but if we can't address with y'all, who are we supposed to address them to? even though this is a little bit off the agenda, as y'all say, you know, could you tell me that, Ms.
Have-
Sandra?
Yes, have you been to the RAB meeting?
Who?
The RAB meeting, that's the
How would I
Resident
know about that
Advisory,
meeting?
the Resident Advisory Board. You can request to express your concerns to them,
Well,
and then they bring it to us.
Well, when I get, you talking to people who are residents, councils in the neighborhood? Is that what you're saying, resident council?
There is a RAB board that is a combination of all those councils.
Okay, well, I'm asking, how do residents know about the RAB meetings? I've never heard of it till the first day.
Ms. Thomas, I'll refer that
How do I
to you.
talk to Ms. Thomas? I leave plenty of messages with Ms. Thomas. Ms. Thomas never called back.
She's
You
not,
never called back.
on Ms. Eason, she's not asking her to respond.
I'm
because
asking the question.
She's asking about the process, sir.
Yeah, I'm talking about the process, sir.
And, you know, we can
And this
allow
doesn't
the,
have to do with the
if we can
agenda.
allow the folks to answer the questions, or might move on to the next speaker.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, let her answer the question, please.
She just, and then the question was, is how does it get that, I guess how does the RAB board get their information out?
For the resident.
The resident councils have monthly meetings at each of their various sites. There is a resident council president, along with perhaps a vice president and secretary that takes minutes. And you can, the resident council leadership, you can also contact Patrice Body, who is our resident council liaison through the Housing Authority, and she has all of the contact information, phone numbers, email address, and so forth. And I know that, I mean, you are familiar with Ms. Body, so she can provide you that information for your particular site, if you would like to meet with your resident council leadership and get the schedule of their meetings.
Are you familiar with that? We don't have a resident council no more, the president being dismissed.
Then you need to talk to your property manager.
You see, y'all telling me, and I don't have a problem doing what you're saying for the protocol, that's what you're saying. But how do you go through protocol when the people y'all got in the jobs won't give you no information, don't know nothing? Then like I come to y'all, everybody got a, you know, a difficult answer for me, you know? Then y'all say I got 3 minutes to sit up there and talk about our concerns, because nobody wanna hear our concerns.
Mr. Eason.
Yes, sir, Mr. Sullivan.
We're gonna obviously have to set up a different meeting for you. Do you have specific concerns regarding the housing code as a whole? Could you please go ahead and list those?
Oh, I can
and
say
move
that?
forward?
Okay, I'm here to talk about, first of all, you know, as resident, I've been out there in my resident 20 years. The grass don't never get cut properly. I wanna know why we pay rent, if you don't mind, somebody answer, why do we pay rent for a job that's never done right? And then-
Well, I'll answer that one way. If you lived in the private sector, you might be expected to cut your own yard. Your landlord might not do it for you at all.
What's the private sector? We don't know nothing
Out in the world.
You just said we're
Your
private
rent
sector.
does not go toward cutting the grass.
I didn't ask that. I said, where to go towards?
And we do have an issue with the grass right now because it's rained so much. And we have an 8-day cycle that we're paying for with the contractor, and we're working with the contractor on that. But when it rains, my yard at home needs cutting too, but it's been raining so much it hasn't been able to be
That's a
cut.
personal yard, you own your house. You know, we pay rent for our contractors to do our
Could
house.
you move, what's the next question, sir?
Well, the maintenance is awful. We got sewers out in the neighborhood, back there on the south side, the back of me, that one of the alleys been like 8, 9 months, very stinking. See, my thing, it ain't all about me, you know, to us, it's about kids. It's about the kids to me. Don't nobody care about certain kids, what area they stay in. It's real nasty. It's been out there about 8, 9 months. We just fixed one down the street. It's been there it was there about a year or so. And we got roofs falling in, you know, right now, off Governor's Cross, on Governor's, I have to say off Governor's, one of the complex, got one of the roofs falling in, and got live wire out there, hanging out there. The little kids be grabbing. I had to tell the little girl don't grab it yesterday. You know, we got a lot of issues that need to be addressed when we call maintenance, and maintenance don't, you know, take forever to get our stuff fixed. My, utility breaker in my house, whatever the breaker's in the house, it's done melted around the whole thing. It's been like it for about almost 9, 10 months. Site manager, the top manager, maintenance manager come in, they done seen it, they ain't did nothing, they rewires, put wires in it. And it's terrible. It can go up at any time if you ask me. You know, I got pictures of it, but y'all don't want to see my pictures. And, you know, it just ain't fair. Y'all said it rained, you tell me it's raining about this grass and stuff. It's awful out there. The maintenance is very, very awful.
Okay. Grass, maintenance, sewage, roof,
Replacement
live
of
wire.
camp, y'all was looking at last.
But, Mr. Eason, why aren't the other residents complaining
Because
about
they're
this? Why is
scared.
it just you?
Because they scared, because y'all give us such a hard time, you be mean to us. I didn't say everybody, Ms. Sanders, you asked the question, I'm giving you an answer. I didn't say everybody. So
Okay.
your son
Are you
came
saying
from
Ms.
every
Taylor
meeting.
is mean to you?
I didn't say, did I said, no, Ms. Taylor ain't mean. I ain't gonna never say it to you, Ms. Taylor, no, she's never been mean.
Excuse me, Sam, Dennis, at this time, your 3 minutes is up, but if we could, if you could
Well, I
provide
need to
that
meet with somebody.
documentation. Okay.
And can I ask a question? It's just a rumor now, I just need to know this. One of y'all employees investigating for misappropriating
We
funds?
won't-
No.
we won't be,
Saying as residents, don't we have a right to know that?
we won't discuss
You know what,
that.
they misappropriate our funds.
Thank you, Mr.
It's
Eason.
odd.
Thank you, Mr. Eason.
Can she answer that question?
Thank you, Mr. Eason.
I did answer it, no.
I didn't hear you.
No.
Are you sure?
No one here is investigating.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Eason.
No one on this board that I know of.
Board.
No,
I
no,
didn't
no.
say the board, I never did specify who it was, or where it came from.
Thank
You
you, sir.
said that.
Mr. Jennings.
Could I make a comment, though? I mean, for the record, what Dennis Eason spoke about today had nothing to do with the agenda.
Excuse me, could y'all have y'all main people to please pick up the paper, because I've been picking up in our area, continue, and this young lady will show you some videos on her phone, for
Thank
her little kid back out on the other day.
Mr. Jennings.
Sorry, Mr. Stevens.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Jennings, and I have a couple of questions. Even though it's sort of off, I'm kind of concerned about some of the things that Mr. Eason mentioned about sewage and stuff being behind buildings for a while. I'm going to try to get with him and look into that a little bit more. You do have kids, that's an environmental concern. Anyway, I came today to talk about the closing of Sparkman Homes of Mason Court. It's my understanding that it's in the process of taking bids for the property to be closed. Is that a true statement? Is there plans to close Mason Court?
Yes, there is.
Okay. Is there a plan in place for the people that's going to be displaced by that closing?
Yes, and our Resident Services Department has been meeting with every resident individually.
Okay, the plan, you have a written plan in place that we can get a copy of?
No. We have housing that's being built out on Balch Road, that if anybody qualifies as a senior, they could move there. That's only senior housing. And everyone that's there that wants a voucher will get a voucher, and most of the people were told that most of the people told Resident Services they wanted a Section 8 voucher. If anyone wants to stay in public housing and there's a vacancy, they can go to another public housing unit.
Okay,
And
but,
also, just to respond to you as well, there will be a written relocation plan. It is part of our application to HUD, and it will be presented to the residents before it's submitted to HUD.
But we're not to
It's
that
not
point
complete.
yet.
It's in process.
okay, so you're gonna have a written relocation plan?
Yes,
Yes.
Right. And who will be the contact for that particular plan?
Well, Keisha will be.
Keisha Ridge. Okay, the other question I had is, because I understand that there's gonna be issued vouchers, and a lot of these, my understanding right now, the Mason Court tenants are in the Huntsville High School area. So the voucher plan that you have in place, or giving them vouchers where they can move, is there any way to limit the amount of people coming into the north area with vouchers as opposed to the south area? Is that gonna be a part of the plan, the school?
We cannot force them to go into any area. Once they have a voucher, they can go and look wherever they want. But the Housing Authority has taken a stand to try to get areas more affordable to them. We have lowered the payment standard in South Huntsville and the Madison area so that housing will be more affordable and hopefully people will choose to go to those areas. But HUD does not allow us to direct
I
them.
understand. So there could possibly be an impact in that area, right? That's a possibility, we don't know, but based
Well,
on.
it could be, but from what Resident Services tells us from talking to the residents, most of them do not want to go to the North Huntsville area, they're saying.
Okay, but if the voucher does not, if the rent allocation for a property owner in South is, say, $1,200 and the voucher is for $700.
Voucher does not have a dollar amount on it, except that it has to be reasonable for the area
Okay.
and has to be within the payment standard.
Okay, but in the written plan, they gonna address those type of concerns?
I don't know that it'll be that detailed, no.
Think so?
I mean, the payment standards are available, we have those are they on our website?
Okay, for a two-family or three-family, what you
Yes.
pay. So regardless of whether it's in the north, east, south, or west, a two-family unit's gonna pay what it
It's
pays.
different by
It's
area.
based on zip code.
It's based on zip code? Okay.
You got,
So-
60 seconds, Mr. Jenny.
Okay, so that was my concern, if it's based on zip code, you're saying you may pay $1,100 for a person in South Huntsville as opposed to $800 for a person in North Huntsville, that's based on the zip code, that's a possibility.
That's a possibility.
Okay. Is there a possibility to replace that with single-family housing rather than selling the property?
We don't have the money to do that.
But that's not even a consideration?
No, because there's no funds to do it.
Okay, from the funds from selling the property, could you not convert those to?
This property is
single-family?
not worth very much. There's a lot of EPA issues on this property, and it is just not worth much at all. It's not worth, it couldn't buy much at all.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have commissioner comments. Right?
I'd just like to congratulate again the staff for CMAP follow-up. And we finished another fiscal year, which we always take for granted, that's gonna be good, and it was good, and thank Sandra and the whole staff for all your hard work, because when we are a high performer, we get our subsidy, which makes us serve our residents, helps us serve our residents better. So, we don't need to take for granted what they do. They serve the residents as well.
I echo those same, sentiments. Great job. I appreciate y'all doing it on my watch. Are there any other questions, concerns, statements? Get back working on that. Please adjourn.